Arriving at the job site might be the most important part of your day. I'll tell you why next. When you arrive at a job site, there is a ton of work to be done even before you think about stepping foot on that tower. Today I'm with Justin Miller, and we're going to talk about the all-important job hazard analysis, where the goal is to reduce or eliminate potential safety hazards. Justin, why is JHA, job hazard analysis, so important?
It's our first element of defense from a documentation standpoint to walk onto a site and we immediately start identifying those hazards to where we can figure out ways to prevent those hazards and mitigate those hazards.
So what is a JHA? Essentially, you have to be a detective, right? We got to say what can go wrong and what are the consequences.
That's right. Being an investigator on a site like this, right here today in this misty fog, the ability to walk up, identify these hazards, document them, and make sure that everybody on site can be able to identify it, not only on documentation, but with their own eyes. They look around, they see it, and they can make the corrective action.
All right, let's get into it. Take me through a JHA.
Sure, Ryan. The elements of approaching the site, you're starting to look at the structure from the highest apparatus that you can see down to the low lining areas. Once you're in the low areas here where it's a lot of foot traffic, we really want to look for those slip, trips, and falls. Things that could be harmful, that are a hazard to our guys that are on the site. We're looking for utility lines. How low are they? Where are they at? Is it going to interfere with rigging? Those utility lines could be hot, so always assume that they're hot. You also want to make sure that the structure has at least had a past inspection, something that can give you a reference to where you can see, all right, hangers were replaced here, or ground kits were missing here, something to give an indication that the tower was inspected.
So everything is documented, right?
Absolutely, Ryan. This actually comes from the ANSI A10.48, the JHA that we use today. So it keeps us on track and it keeps it all collected in one area. That way anybody new coming on site can immediately identify hazards that are already existing.
So what about the tower itself? What kind of things are you looking for up there?
NATE has a lot of tools to help us with this. One of those tools is going to be NATE's Anchor Inspection Guidelines. That specifically talks about going out to the physical anchor and identifying what's below the surface. We want to go to the base of the structure as well. We want to look up each leg, each face. We want to look for cracks. We want to look for bent angles. We want to look for loose members. We want to look for bolts that are lying around the ground. We want to clearly identify that that climbing facility has a true climbing path. And if those things are all in line, we're setting ourselves up for success.
So how do you go about checking higher up on the tower to make sure your climbing path is safe?
Well, sometimes you don't want to climb right off the bat. You want to use some tools to be able to identify visually if it's safe to climb. Binoculars, a theodolite, and a drone, if used properly, following all the FAA rules, it can be used as well. It's all about getting the line of sight.
So if you guys show up with heavy equipment and rigging gear, aren't you bringing hazards to the site?
Absolutely, Ryan. Every piece of equipment that comes on this site or any site, that excavator or that piece of rigging equipment needs to be inspected and then documented on our JHA. We're looking for those hazards that could potentially be brought on site by that equipment.
Now this is only an overview. For an in-depth JHA template, use the ASSE A10.48 Standard. The job hazard analysis. OSHA requires it, and it's really one of the most important parts of your day. Be thorough and be aware, and as always, stay safe, my friends.